Good morning, Tamika.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You must be a very busy lady at the moment.
Yes, very busy.
In both, right? Work, and I know you have kids too, right? So you're probably balancing, like a lot of people, you're balancing a very busy work life and home life.
Yeah, like totally trying to find a new balance for ourselves and juggling work and
Yeah.
homeschooling, which is
How
new
old?
for
How old are your
many of
kids?
us.
How old are your kids?
My oldest is 11 and
Okay.
he's in 5th grade, and my youngest is 7. She'll be 8 soon, and she's in 2nd grade.
Are you doing the homeschooling yourself?
Yes, we are. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, so we split the kids in half. So my son is my student and my daughter is my husband's student.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Good deal. Well, look, I'm really thanks for taking the time. I'm sure as a virologist, I would imagine that right now, this is probably the busiest time of your career, isn't it?
Yes, I think I haven't had to explain once what a virologist is to people. I haven't heard that term in so many times. I can remember early on after getting my degree that people would say, "What's a virologist?" I mean, they could barely say the word. They didn't know what virology was, but everybody
Yeah,
knows now.
everybody knows. For better or worse, yeah.
Yeah.
So look, I'd love to jump into some, I can see some questions coming up already specific to what we're all dealing with right now. But tell me just a little bit, because I'm trying to work out how a virologist, I know you head up the comms as well at the Food Council.
Yeah.
What's your, like outside of sort of global pandemics, what's your day to day?
So our organization is a science communication organization. And
Okay.
so we produce communication resources that are geared toward consumers. So articles and videos, infographics, and so on. And we post them on our website. But of course, we plug them into social as well.
Yeah.
And so we talk about food safety, food production, and then also nutrition. So we're
Okay.
broken up into 2 teams. So we have RDs on staff that talk about nutrition. So I stay away from that stuff.
Okay.
But from a food production perspective and a food safety perspective, I'm in charge of a lot of the work that we do.
And that's international, right?
Yeah, so the organization is almost 30 years old. So when it started off, it started off as international, but as time went on, there grew many sister organizations. So there's a CFIC, there's a China IFIC, Graphic, there's one in Japan. So we're less international than we used to be. So we're mostly focused on the US, but we do have our website in Brazilian, Portuguese, and also Spanish. So we still are a little international, but not as much as we used to be.
I only ask because having lived in a lot of countries, especially countries in Asia, I know that sort of attitudes towards food production and food safety and everything else are very different, sort of country to country.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's hard to get one generic message that works across every nation.
Definitely. And as communication channels have grown in the past 20 years, certainly it takes multiple people to come together to, communicate effectively and talk to people about so many issues.
Yeah. Well, look, I've got, there's questions coming up here, and there's questions that people ask me ahead of time as well.
Okay.
The number one question when I told them you're coming on was about right now. Obviously, we won't get into the food supply chain so much right now, but how can people stay safe with their food right now? So there were questions from, so if people go to the grocery store and they're bringing food home, can they catch COVID from touching the packaging of their food? Do they need to wash every single item? I know people that have filled up their bathtubs with hot soapy water, and when they get home from the shops, they kind of empty their food into the bathtub and wash everything. I know people who do nothing. How can we stay safe when we go to the grocery store?
That's a good one. Yeah, and we get that question quite a bit on social, and we've also gotten it from journalists.
Yeah.
So what we recommend is that while you're in the store, so let's start while you're in the store, you just need to be cautious, practice caution. So that means if you touch a surface or a package, don't immediately go to touch your face. So you don't want to touch your mouth, your eyes, your nose.
Yeah.
Because these are potential entry points for the virus into your body. If you happen to touch something that has been contaminated somehow.
Yes. Okay.
However, it is a very small chance that you will encounter touching a surface that has had a virus perfectly applied to it that is still alive, and then will get to your hand, and then you will transfer it to your face, eyes, nose, mouth. So what we are suggesting is that you do practice caution. We're not saying that it's impossible, but it is unlikely. And so this is why out of so many agencies, FDA, CDC, and so on, they're telling you that, the chances of this are small, but practice safe food handling. And this is basically the advice that you would use on day-to-day to avoid germ transfer, right? So once you get your groceries home, so let's move on to the house. Once you get your groceries home, again, the chances of there being live virus on the surface of your packages is quite small, or your fresh produce, or whatever you bring home, or the plastic bags that you're using, it is still quite small. However, what you should do is be cautious, put all your groceries away, wash your hands as soon as you're done. Once you return to your pantry or your refrigerator or your kitchen, and you go to grab a snack or you go to prepare a meal, handle all the things that you need to handle. Wash your hands before you eat. We do not advise people to wash their packages in soap or detergent of any kind, because you are potentially introducing chemicals that should not be consumed to your food. And you could really make yourself sick. So this is why it's not advisable to do that, because soaps and disinfectants leave residue. It's just what they do. And they're not designed to be used for food products. So this is it's really a word of caution to not do this. You're essentially trading in maybe there's a risk for you're definitely introducing a risk now. So I can understand people thinking that they feel like they are fighting something that's invisible, so they want to do everything they can. But
what about,
it's dangerous.
That's on packaging. A number of people, lots of people actually, have asked about sort of fresh food, kind of the fact that it's been picked on farms, often, in some locations, maybe even days kind of before rather than weeks before. Is it worth using plant-based soaps and things to kind of, I'm sure a lot of people do that anyway. I'm really lazy, I don't, but I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, some people do. I don't use those things. Again, what we advise is to use the safe food handling protocol steps that are advised by FDA. You should have your produce, run it under cold water to remove any typical dirt or residue that may be left behind from it being plucked and shipped and handled by the store clerks to put it away, and so on. But again, I know some people like to use a brush for firm produce like cucumbers and watermelons and so on. And if you want to continue to do that, that's great too. Again, we're talking about something that is the likelihood is so small. And this is something else people need to realize, is that this virus is that it's not going to, if it happens to be on a surface, it is not going to multiply and there'll be more and more and more virus on the surface. That's not how it works. Once it's out of someone's body, it's not in favorable conditions for living and multiplying anymore.
Yeah.
So it's going to die.
Okay.
So again, running water. If you want to use your scrub brush, go ahead. No soap.
Got it. Okay. Good to know. Gloves or no gloves? Lots of people are asking when they go to the shops. Gloves, helpful or not?
Gloves are okay. I'll tell you. Gloves are just like hands.
Yeah.
If you touch a surface and that surface is dirty, the glove is dirty.
Yeah.
And if you go to touch your face with a dirty glove, germs to your face, right?
Yeah.
So the virus, and I should also add, the virus is not going to penetrate unbroken skin.
Okay.
So if it gets on your hand, that's the end of the road for it, especially if you wash your hands.
Yeah. Right?
The same thing for a glove. It's not going to be any more protective to you if it gets dirty.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to go into the store and change your gloves every 5 seconds, or sanitize your gloves, I mean, it's the same thing. So gloves are. Okay. I've seen people wearing gloves. I have family members that have told me that they've gone to the store wearing gloves, and I go, why? Why do you have gloves on? Because it's still dirty. Yeah. So. Makes sense. I know people are trying to do what makes them feel comfortable. Yeah. But I wouldn't want anyone to have a false sense of security, thinking that, well, I have this glove on, I can do whatever I want. Yeah. If the glove gets dirty, it's just like a dirty hand. Okay.
And look, I know there's some overlap with some of these questions that are coming up, but I know I'd like to get to as many people's questions as I can. So, and I know these are questions that you've probably been asked 1,000 times in the last month, but bear with us because we're all still learning about this.
No problem.
So, safer to have food delivered or to go to the grocery store? I'm assuming, no, you answer. I'm not going to make any assumptions. You tell us.
Well, I'll tell you. In my house, we've been doing a little bit of both. Yeah. We have had the pizza guy come. I mean, I have kids, they like pizza. And we've had restaurant food delivered to our home. Yes. Yeah. It is safe to do so. Okay. Many stores are actually taking precautions to have the food like left at your front door. Yeah. So they're doing a 100% contactless delivery. Okay. Yeah. Which is fabulous. So you don't even have to interface with another person, which is the main carrier for the virus, remember, right? Right. So you don't have to interface with a person. That's fabulous. I mean, you're taking away the possibility of that person maybe being sick. Yeah. And transferring something to you and vice versa, right? You're keeping them safe too. And so we have been doing that. I think it's perfectly fine. Again, same things when shopping, once you get your bags or your big pizza box, bring it in, set it down, wash your hands before you handle the food, right? Yeah. And this is something that you should do anyway. Not many of us do. But you should be doing this anyway, right? Yeah. Once you handle a package, you should wash your hands before you eat or before you fix your plate. So this is what we advise people to do. Same things for having groceries delivered. I know a lot of stores are delivering groceries right now. I love getting my groceries delivered. I actually even I do grocery delivery pickup where you drive there and you put everything in your trunk. Yeah. It's so fabulous.
Amazing.
Yeah, I live for it. And that is, again, you're cutting down person-to-person contact, which is a great thing. Yeah. And then again, the earlier rule still applies. Once you get your groceries, put them all away, wash your hands before you eat.
Something you mentioned there made me think, like, to step in the mind of a virologist. So I know a lot of my habits, my behaviors in life are born out of ignorance. I simply don't know. You know, you were talking about sort of handling a pizza box or something, and as much as I would like to say, oh, sure, yeah, I always go wash my hands, and then I eat the pizza, you know, I take the box, I open it, I eat the pizza. So I'm thinking once you've spent enough time in a laboratory and seen those things in different kinds of lights than we are able to, does that cause a lot of anxiety in your mind?
Does
or are you just more cautious in your behaviors as a consequence?
I think, yes, I would say I'm probably more cautious in my behaviors as a consequence.
Yeah.
So certainly in my studies, I mean, when you're handling virus, I actually did my dissertation work on HIV. Okay. So you're talking about something that's very dangerous. Yeah. You have to be very cautious. Yeah. So there's special lab equipment for this, yeah, to do this work. But at the same time, that helps me to understand the type of environment that the virus thrives in. So, of course, these are two very different viruses. Yeah. But we're talking about microbes, something that is very small, but is very dangerous. So the fact that you're working with something that you can't see, but you have to be very cautious with it, does make you become more of a person that's, I don't know if I'm a germaphobe, but I'm definitely very aware of germs. Yeah. So I think that's what we all need to be, is very aware. Yeah. Cautious, but not crazy. So you just need to exercise maybe a little bit more self-hygiene steps than you normally would. And don't discard them. Don't just say like, like I heard you talking about your if your kid says to you, do I have to wash my hands every time after I use the bathroom? Yeah. And if you're like, yes, you have to. But I think we've probably all been in a public restroom where we saw someone leave and you're like, did they wash their hands? I don't know what just happened here. Sure.
I've also been in public restrooms where I've looked at the state of the sinks and the taps and thought, no, I'll risk it. I'll take my chances. I'm out of here. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. I think we all need to just be mindful of germs. And definitely in the case right now, but in everyday life. I mean, this is how, you know, during flu season, how flu spreads. I mean, people need to exercise caution when they know that the potential for them to get sick is there. Yeah. How do you think about health? So arguably you're looking at health in, I mean, literally at the cellular kind of level in such a kind of specific type of way. Yeah. Does that, the way you live your own life, do you think about health in a very holistic way? Or does that kind of training kind of tend to encourage you to sort of focus more on physical health rather than mental health? Or like how do you sort of look at living a healthy life?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I do think about every part of my body, my family's body, our brains, our souls, our physical well-being, so exercise and what we eat. I feel like they all kind of intertwine. Yeah. I definitely feel like if I take care of myself physically with exercise and how I eat, it does impact my mood. Yeah. And then that, of course, your spouse and your kids, I mean, if you're living together, it all kind of we all kind of feed into one another. Yeah. So I definitely feel like I am a type of person that every part of my life, I do try to do what's the healthiest thing to do. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to all of these things, but I try. Like, I work out maybe 5 to 6 days a week, but not for vanity's sake, but because I feel good after I work out. Yeah. My brain feels better. Yeah. It's my Zen time. Yeah. And then I can go on to, like, have a better mood with the kids, which of course I need these days. And
sure. We all do. Yeah.
So all the things together, I mean, now, of course, during this time, we probably have indulged a little bit more in treats to make ourselves feel better.
That is coming up from a few people, actually. Yeah. Have you found that yourself?
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit. But I try to, still create some balance. I mean, I'm not, again, I know I'm not perfect, but I think at the same time, if you have to fight, like, you have to find the balance between treating yourself and then doing something that's unhealthy.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, kind of, someone was on a few days back and they were talking about exercise, and she was saying, I've never regretted kind of working out.
Never.
Like, not ever. I always feel kind of better.
Yep.
And I think most of us, if we think about exercise, if we think about meditation, if we think about a good night's sleep, if we think about a good meal, good healthy meal, it's very rare that we would finish any of those things. And yet we can all think of times when we've gone ages without exercising, we've regretted it. Maybe we've done a whole tub of ice cream or multiple tubs of ice cream and regretted it. I'm using myself as an example. But it's really interesting how, like, even though we know there are certain behaviors that we feel better, we still so easily forget those behaviors. I'm not talking about excluding things here. I'm just talking about, like, the middle kind of way. Like, we so easily forget kind of the things that have not made us feel so good in life.
Yeah, that's so, it's funny that you say that. I'm going to tell you a story. My husband's going to kill me.
Yeah.
So the other day, again, because of everything that's going on, our moods have been, of course, our moods are kind of up and down. And like I said, I work out 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And my husband works out maybe 3 days a week. So one day I was going to go work out, and I said, I was like, you want to come work out with me? And he's like, oh, really don't feel like it. And he was having a rough day. I was like, I'm telling you, you will not regret it. I know it's not what you do, but on the other side of this, just give it 10 minutes. And I'm thinking I'm tricking him with starting with 10, and 10 will turn to 20, and 20 will turn to 30.
Sure.
You won't regret it. And he just was like, please stop begging me to work out. But I knew I was right. I said to him, everybody has days where they don't feel like it. I mean, that's normal.
Yeah.
But I have never done it, pushed myself to do it, and was like, oh, why did I push myself to do that? Yeah. Never, ever. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Well, I really, there are so many difficult things coming out of this time. Yeah. But I do feel like it's, for a lot of people, kind of maybe those who are in a position to have time to reflect, and not everybody is, but for those of us that are, there is a possibility of kind of reassessing what's important, what's not, what makes us feel good, kind of what are the things that we can kind of give up perhaps, and come out of the back of this maybe kind of with, not necessarily structure, but a way of living that promotes better health, maybe more happiness in our mind.
Yeah, certainly.
So we've been doing a little thing every day, just where we kind of get together and we have a chat, and then we do a little exercise. Just because I think I think meditation, mindfulness, looking after the mind, often we see it as a very kind of solo pursuit. I always think it's a collective pursuit. It's about, like, tapping back into the community around us, even if we're not physically together, kind of having a sense of doing something together in a collective sort of interest. So we've been taking just 2 minutes each day to do a short exercise. I don't know if you'd like to join us. Be great if you do. You're welcome to stay on camera or to go off camera. You're welcome to lie down, sit down, whatever you find more comfortable. I'm just going to do a little 2-minute guided exercise, Tamika. So feel free to make yourself comfortable. Either way, thank you so much for joining us today. It was amazing, and I think there's so much information out there. There's so much misinformation out there. There's a lot of really well considered thought. There's a lot of hysteria, and to be able to kind of sift through it all, like for most of us who aren't microbiologists or virologists, is a really tricky thing. So thank you for breaking it all down and making it simple. And I think food shopping is about to get a whole lot easier. We will still be cautious. So. We will still be cautious, but I think it's about to get easier. So thank you for that.
Thanks so much, Andy.
No worries. So for those of you at home, as always, make yourself comfortable. You can lie down, you can sit down. This is only going to take two minutes. If you want to do some more meditation later in the day, then you know where to find it. So we're going to start in the usual way. So eyes open, and just a soft focus. So as always, this is just about settling the mind. It's about how we sort of set up the body. The eyes is how the mind sort of feels. So that soft focus helps us find the balance between focus and relaxation. And just maintaining that soft focus. Just take a big deep breath, breathing in through the nose. And as you breathe out through the mouth, just gently closing the eyes if you'd like to. If you prefer to keep them open, you can. But just give yourself a moment, free from any distraction, just to enjoy that feeling of having stopped. Just feeling the weight of the body press down against the seat or the floor beneath you. And just take a moment just to check in with the body today. Notice how the body feels. And as you sit there, becoming more aware of those sensations, just starting to notice the breath as well. So it requires a really small amount of focus to focus on the breath, maybe 10% of effort required. The only thing we're noticing at this stage is which part of the body moves as the body breathes in and out. Normally it'll be the chest, the diaphragm or the stomach. As always, if you can't feel anything, just gently placing your hand on the stomach. And we're going to stay with the breath today. But we're just going to focus on the out breath. So we're still aware as the body breathes in, but our full attention is with the out breath, just for 10 breaths. So noticing when the out breath begins, following it as the body breathes out, noticing the end. Getting aware of the in breath, but paying particular attention to the beginning of the out breath. Body as it exhales, and noticing the end of the breath. So just a couple more breaths. Again, not breathing in any special way, but just following the natural rhythm of the body. Each time, just following the breath to its conclusion, and then just waiting for the body to inhale again. So if you're just finishing off, just know this is a really helpful technique you can use during the day as well. You can go straight to the breath. By following just the exhalation, tends to encourage the mind to be a little more relaxed, a little more at ease. For now though, you can just let go of any focus on the breath, bringing the attention back to the body, coming back to that feeling of contact against the seat or the floor. You can open your eyes again whenever you're ready. And as always, try to take that quality of mind into the rest of your day and share it with those around you. Thanks again, Tamika. That was so helpful. It was really, really interesting.
Much. Yes,
and good,
thank you so much.
And good luck with the homeschooling.
Thank you.
No worries. Take care. And I'll see you all tomorrow for Take 10. See you guys. Bye bye.